Kanye West is one of the world's biggest artists and is hugely popular. His albums are known for being delayed, and he seems to lie about the release date all the time. This applies to his latest album, Donda, as well. Today, we will be discussing Kanye West's Donda, fans frustrated as the rapper's album suffers more delays, as well as what you need to know about the album. First up, what is Donda? Donda is Kanye West's 10th studio album, and is highly anticipated. The album was named after his late mother, Donda West, who sadly died back in 2007 at the age of 58. His mother was a huge part of Kanye's life, as she has featured heavily throughout his music career. An album named after her must mean it's very important to him. The album has been highly anticipated since it was announced, and people just want to hear it. His fan base is used to his albums being delayed or changed, so they aren't too surprised when things didn't go all to plan. Next up is, how long has the album been in the works? The album was originally supposed to be released back in July of 2020, but was delayed indefinitely due to many reasons. This means it was probably in the works for a few years before then. His previous album, Jesus is King, seemed like a tester for what Donda would eventually become. It's safe to say that Donda has been in the works for a long time, and maybe one of Kanye West's bigger projects as of yet. Kanye always goes big with his albums and other releases, so when Donda drops, you should assume it's going to be huge. Next up is First Listening Party. A date was announced for Donda, but it didn't all go to plan. The album was set to drop on July 22nd of 2021. Fans were very hyped, but hesitant as West is known for delays. To everyone's surprise, a listening party was also announced to be taking place on the same day. This party was to take place at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. We saw some celebrities fly out to be there, and fans were getting excited to finally hear the album. The time came and the party went on. The album sounded pretty good, but far from finished. It seemed more like a large teaser than an actual listening party. After the party had concluded, fans were awaiting the release, but this didn't go to plan either. Next up is delay number 1. After the listening party, we saw the album get delayed once again. At first, everything was silent, but over the next day or so, we got word on what was actually happening. The album was delayed as Kanye thought of more to add to the songs. He was now staying at the stadium to finish the album with his crew. He was living there to make sure the passion project was as good as it could ever be. Though it wasn't much of a shock to people, this delay was still annoying. It seemed like the album was going to be released, but it just never did. But if West wanted to make it better, then let the man work. Fans growing frustrated. The album had been delayed, and fans were not happy. Twitter went wild with people complaining about Kanye's practices and just wanting to hear the album. We saw a few of the songs get leaked, so some people were happy about that, but the overwhelming majority just were not happy. Some defended the artist, saying if he wants to make it better, it's best for everyone. The overall consensus was just disappointment, but also still excitement. Even though fans were frustrated, they still supported him and still wanted to experience Donda in its best form. More was on the horizon for Donda, but what happened next? The second listening party. After the delay, fans were excited to hear about another listening party being put on. This one was slated for August 6th, which also brought with it another release date of the same day. This party was in the same stadium as before, and people were even more excited than ever. The party started, and we got to hear some more songs from the album. It was starting to seem more finished and better overall. Kanye pulled a huge stunt where he was lifted high into the sky above the crowd in the stadium. It was really an amazing sight. People thought the album was going to be released after the show, but surprise, surprise, it wasn't, and more frustration began. Delay number 2. The album was delayed yet again, but this time, no exact date was set. We heard that Kanye wanted to work on the album more, and his producers didn't seem all too pleased. The album was said to be delayed, but an exact date wasn't announced. Due to some leaks through Apple Music and Spotify, it seems like the album was set to release on either August 13th or August 16th. As of the writing of this video, the album hasn't been released. Hopefully, the album comes out alright, as one of Kanye's biggest team members recently left due to the conditions he was in. West is known for pulling out some amazing music, so hopefully, Donda isn't any different. Next up is, what do fans think about the album? Outside of all the delays and drama of Donda, what do fans really think about it? Some of the songs were leaked through TikTok and other platforms, and so far, the reception is pretty positive. One of the songs has become a TikTok trend and seems to be very popular amongst the Kanye West fan base. We also saw the the entire album leak, but an unfinished version of it. For those who actually listened to this unfinished leak version, they seem to be happy with what was on there. The feature list and the overall song production seems to be good. When the album is actually released is when we will find out the true reception of Donda, but until then, this gives us a good idea of what people might think. Fan reactions to delays. The album has been delayed so many times now that the fan base seems kind of numb to it. They always joke around on Twitter and TikTok about the album never releasing or being delayed again and again. It's frustrating that it hasn't been released yet, so it's no surprise we get this sort of humor out of them. They just want the album to actually be released so they can decide for themselves if Kanye is back or not. His previous album, Jesus is King, didn't sit right with lots of people as it sounded nothing like Kanye usually does. People are fine with West's newfound religious music, but they want it to sound good as well. Overall, fans just are in a tough place right now. And finally, we have, when will it actually be released? So, to end off this list, let's talk about when the album might actually release. The album is set to be around 24 tracks long and includes a whole list of features, some of which are Playboi Carti, Pusha T, Roddy Ricch, and Jay-Z. The list got longer recently as Kanye added Kid Cudi in the new cut of the album. This list is huge, and with Kanye changing up all the songs all the time, it may be much larger than expected. Kanye's albums in the past have been delayed for a few years sometimes, so we could see the album release next year. Whatever happens with Donda, hopefully it will turn out good. And that's the end of the list. Donda is the most anticipated album of 2021 so far, and is shaping up to be either amazing or dreadful. Kanye is known for making stuff he's proud of, and something that he likes, but this doesn't always sit right with his audience. West loved Jesus is King, and it meant so much to the artist. It was an expression of his love for his religion, and his fans respected that, but the sound of the album and the overall vibe just didn't sit well with what he had done before or with his dedicated fan base. They loved that he expressed himself through his passion, but it just wasn't what they wanted in terms of sound. Donda seems like something that people actually want. The album seems to be full of his religious words and style, but the music underneath sounds great. It's a great mix, and it really sounds like Kanye West again. Fans are realizing that they aren't going to get the old Kanye back. We aren't going to get another Graduation or My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Fans have accepted his new ways, and they are finally getting the sound that they wanted. Hopefully, Donda turns out how people want it to. The feature list seems amazing, and these artists seem to meld really well with what West is producing. Donda is something people have been looking forward to for a long time, and the frustration of delays just makes them want it even more. Donda could be the biggest album of 2021, and maybe even West's biggest album as well. We may just need to wait a little longer to experience it. That's the end of the video though. Thanks for watching.